Welcome to Limitless Mindset, where your journey to greatness begins. I'm Jonathan Cahn, your guide to unlocking potential, breaking barriers, and transforming your life with unstoppable motivation. Every video is a spark to ignite your purpose, power, and passion. Subscribe now and step into the mindset that knows no limits. There comes a moment in every life when the veil must be lifted. You were not born randomly. You are not breathing by accident. There is a calling ancient, sacred, and destined woven into the very fiber of your existence. Before your first breath, it was spoken. Before your first step, it was waiting. But the world will tell you otherwise. It will teach you to chase shadows, to run after things that fade, to pour your heart into illusions that evaporate like mist in the morning sun. It will offer you comfort instead of purpose, pleasure instead of peace, noise instead of truth. And if you listen long enough, you will forget. You will forget who you are. You will forget why you're here. You will wake up one day in a life that looks full but feels hollow. But listen now. This is the hour of awakening. There is a path you have not walked yet, a gate you have not opened, a fire that has not yet ignited in your soul. There is a destiny over your life, and it is not small. You were made for more than survival. You were not crafted to blend into a broken world. You were formed to rise in it. Do not wait for the storm to pass. Rise in the midst of it. Do not wait for someone else to lead. You have been appointed to be the voice, the light, the answer. Every hardship, every heartbreak, every detour in your story was preparing you for this. Even your failures were not wasted, they were sculpting your strength. Even your pain was not in vain, it was refining your vision. What the world called delay, heaven called preparation. But now is not the time to sleep. Now is the time to rise. You were not meant to be buried under fear. You were not born to live numb, scrolling through life instead of stepping into it. You were created to walk with fire in your eyes and conviction in your voice. Do not say you are too weak. It is in your weakness that the greatest strength begins. Do not say you are too broken. What is broken in this world becomes sacred in the hands of eternity. You must stop living beneath your calling. You must silence the voices that tell you who you're not. The voices of your past, the echoes of failure, the lies of shame, they are not your name. They are not your identity. You have been called out of darkness. You are not who you were. You are who you're becoming. And to step into that becoming, you must leave something behind. Leave behind the fear that has stolen your decisions. Leave behind the excuses that have chained your purpose. Leave behind the bitterness that has poisoned your joy. Because life does not change by chance. It changes by choice. One step, one decision, one moment of courage can shift the entire future. You do not need to know every detail, only take the first step in faith. Walk forward when everything in you says to retreat. Speak truth when the world demands silence. Stand firm when the ground beneath you shakes. The one who lives with purpose does not need applause. The one who lives with destiny does not chase approval. Your worth was determined long before the world ever gave you a title. So live like you know you've been chosen. Live like you've been called. Live like your life matters, because it does. And when you fall, and you will, don't call it the end. Call it the turning point, the lesson, the moment when the fire is kindled again. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. You are right on time for the reason you were created. The world does not need more noise. It needs more truth. It needs men and women who will stand up and be who they were meant to be, not perfect. Not polished, just real, just faithful, just willing. So will you be that voice? Will you be the light in a world that's losing its way? Will you walk the road less traveled, even if you walk it alone? Because that's where the miracles are. That's where destinies are born. That's where life begins to truly change. You were created with purpose long before the world named you. Before anyone told you what you could or could not be, there was already a purpose spoken over your life. You were not placed on this earth by accident or by the randomness of fate. You were formed in intentionality, designed with divine vision. Every part of you, every detail, every aspect, nothing was a mistake. Your voice, your heart, your strengths, and even your weaknesses are part of something greater. But the world is quick to name you. It gives you titles based on performance, appearance, achievements, and failures. It tries to define you by what you do or don't do, by where you came from, by what you've lost, or by how far you've fallen. And if you let it, those names will become your prison. You were created to carry a name much higher. The purpose over your life is not something the world gave, and so the world cannot take it away. It was written before you knew your first breath. It's deeper than any role you play and more enduring than any label placed on you. You must look beyond what people have said about you and start to uncover what was spoken about you before time began. There is a voice deeper than the voices of criticism, louder than the voice of shame, and truer than the voice of fear. That voice didn't call you average. It didn't call you broken. It didn't call you hopeless. It called you chosen. It called you beloved. It called you worthy of something more than just existing. When you live without knowing this, you chase substitutes. You run after things that can never fill the void, never answer the question of who you are. You will pour yourself into achievements, status, relationships, and all the things the world lifts high, thinking that maybe, just maybe, one of them will unlock your purpose. But purpose was never something to be found in what you do. It was always rooted in who you are, and who you are cannot be discovered by looking around you. It must be uncovered by going deeper. You must go beneath the surface, beneath the expectations, beneath the distractions, and uncover the blueprint that was placed in you from the beginning. The world will try to sell you a version of yourself that is limited, afraid, and dependent on validation. But the real you is far more powerful than the mirror suggests. The real you was made to rise. The real you was made to walk in boldness, in strength, and with a sense of destiny. You were created to be a vessel of something far greater than yourself. You were created to live for something eternal, something unshakable, something that doesn't fade when circumstances shift or when people leave. And that purpose, that calling, that identity is not based on what you've done, but on who made you. It's easy to let the noise drown out the truth. It's easy to believe the names spoken in pain or failure. Maybe you were called a disappointment, or maybe you've been invisible to those who should have seen you. Maybe you've been told you're not enough, or that your life doesn't count. But those are not the words that define you. You are not what happened to you. You are not the mistake you made. You are not the name that stuck with you from your childhood, or the opinion of someone who couldn't see your worth. Your story did not begin with failure. It began with purpose. You were called by name before you were called by the world. And that name was one of hope, of meaning, of greatness in a world that desperately needs it. This is not about ego or self-promotion. This is about identity. It's about knowing who you are when everything else is taken away. It's about standing firm when the world shakes. It's about living not for applause, but for alignment with the reason you were formed. There's power in realizing that your existence was intentional. You were not born to drift. You were born to move with direction. You were not born to be ordinary. You were born to be original. You were not born to follow the scripts of a broken system. You were born to walk in truth. And the truth is, your purpose existed before your name was ever spoken by human lips. Every trial is preparation for a destiny greater than yourself. The struggles you've faced, the moments you thought would break you, the nights filled with silence, and the days that tested your endurance were never without meaning. Life doesn't unfold in straight lines. It moves through storms and deserts, through valleys and shadows. And each of those places serves a higher purpose when seen through the lens of preparation. You may not understand why you had to endure the pain you did, or why doors closed, or why people walked away, but every detour and every delay has been shaping something within you that comfort never could. It's in the fire that strength is forged. It's in the wilderness that the voice becomes clear. It's in the breaking that the true foundation is revealed. There is a difference between those who are merely hurt and those who are prepared. Pain alone is not transformation, but pain in the hands of purpose becomes power. When you begin to understand this, everything changes. You stop asking why me, and you begin to ask what now. You stop seeing trials as punishment and start seeing them as training. You stop running from the struggle and begin to learn from it. Life will put weight on your shoulders, not to crush you, but to make you stronger for the journey ahead. There is a purpose to every burden, and there is a gift hidden in every battle. What looks like resistance is often the pressure required to shape your destiny. What seems like a delay is often the protection you didn't know you needed. You are not walking through random hardships. You are walking through fire meant to refine you. The scars you carry are not signs of defeat, but symbols of endurance. Every tear has watered the soil of your growth. Every unanswered question has deepened your need to search. Every disappointment has redirected your path closer to where you were meant to be. In times of peace, we enjoy the fruits of our strength. But it is in times of trial that strength is built. Your destiny is not something small that can be handed to you without testing. It is weighty. It is significant. It will touch lives beyond your own. And for that to happen, your character must be able to carry it. You cannot be entrusted with influence without integrity. You cannot be entrusted with power without humility. You cannot fulfill a great calling with shallow roots. The deeper your calling, the deeper your preparation must go. The greater the purpose, the greater the resistance you will face, but none of it is wasted. The times when you were overlooked, the seasons where everything seemed to be falling apart, the nights you questioned your very existence, those were the hidden classrooms of your destiny. What others saw as failure, heaven saw as preparation. What you thought was the end was often just the turning point. There is a reason some doors didn't open. There is a reason you had to let go of certain things. There is a reason the path became hard to see. You are being refined, made ready, positioned not just for survival, but for impact. People often want the outcome without the process. They want the crown without the cross. But you cannot carry something great without first being emptied of what is small. The trials are not proof of your weakness. They are invitations to discover your true strength. And the strength you gain is not for you alone. It becomes the answer for someone else. What you've been through will one day become the wisdom you give to others. Your story, marked by fire and perseverance, will become the light for those walking in darkness. You are not just enduring for yourself. You are enduring for generations you haven't met yet. Your destiny is bigger than you because it was never just about you. What you're walking through right now may not make sense. It may feel unfair, heavy, exhausting. But there's something being built in you that will outlast the moment. And the only way to carry something eternal is to pass through the temporary struggle that molds you for it. You don't need to know how it will all come together. You just need to keep walking, keep learning, keep trusting that the fire you're in today is preparing you for the purpose you were born to fulfill. Your identity is not in your past. It is in who you're becoming. The world is quick to define people by what they've done, by the chapters already written, by the mistakes that have been made, and by the labels that were once applied. But identity is not a prison for your past. It is the compass for your future. So many people walk around carrying names they were never meant to carry: failure, broken, unworthy, forgotten. They live inside moments that should have been lessons, not life sentences. The past is real, and it has shaped you, but it does not own you. It is a place of reference, not residence. You are not your worst day. You are not your biggest regret. You are not the lie that someone else told about you, or the one you believed about yourself. There is a shift that happens when you stop defining yourself by what has been and start leaning into what can still be. The person you were yesterday is not the final version of who you are. You are not a finished product. You are in process, in motion, in transformation. Your identity is not fixed by the things that went wrong or by the pain that marked your past. It is revealed as you walk forward, as you heal, as you grow, as you break free from what used to hold you back. There is a you waiting to be uncovered, waiting to rise from the ruins, waiting to breathe in the freedom of a name that wasn't given by pain, but by purpose. There is a reason the windshield is bigger than the rear you mirror. You are not meant to be stuck staring at what's behind you. The road ahead is wide, full of possibilities, full of chances to rebuild, to renew, to restore. The enemy of progress is shame. Shame whispers that you are disqualified, that your story is over, that no one could love the real you. But the truth is stronger than shame, and the truth says you are being renewed day by day, made into something greater than the sum of your failures. The beauty of transformation is that it doesn't ignore the past, it overcomes it. It uses what was meant for destruction and turns it into the foundation for something sacred every time you rise. You rewrite what your story means. Every step forward is a declaration that your identity is not trapped in the places you once fell. Growth isn't glamorous. Becoming who you were created to be takes time, pain, patience, and a relentless refusal to give up. But it is worth it, because your future is too valuable to be held hostage by the past. You must learn to forgive yourself, to stop rehearsing what went wrong, and to start building what can be made right. Forgiveness is not saying it didn't hurt. It's saying it no longer defines you. And when you no longer define yourself by your lowest moments, you start to see yourself the way you were always meant to be seen. The world celebrates perfection, but purpose is born in imperfect. You do not need to wait until you've figured everything out to start living from your true identity. You are becoming even now, in the uncertainty, in the transition, in the quiet battles no one sees. Every choice you make to believe in the new over the old, to trust the process over the pain, to hope again even after disappointment, that is who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is powerful, it is brave, it is beautiful. It is a reflection not of who you were, but of who you are being shaped to be. Stop looking for validation in the places that broke you. Stop searching for your identity in people who were never meant to name you. Stop giving the past the power to write your future. There is a deeper name, a higher identity, a calling that existed long before your first mistake, and it is not something you earn. It is something you accept. When you embrace it, you begin to walk differently, you speak differently, you think differently. Because you're no longer living to escape your past. You're living to fulfill your purpose. There's something extraordinary about those who refuse to be defined by where they've been. They carry a kind of fire that only comes from walking through darkness and choosing light. They know that identity is not inherited from pain. It is inherited from purpose. And no matter how far they've fallen, they keep moving toward the one they were always meant to be. That kind of identity cannot be shaken by storms, cannot be stolen by critics, and cannot be silenced by failure. Life changes, not by chance, but by bold, faithful choices. Every step you take, every decision you make, every moment where you choose to rise instead of retreat, these are the building blocks of transformation. So many people wait for their life to shift on its own, for circumstances to improve, for the perfect opportunity to come knocking. But the truth is that real change never begins with what happens outside of you. It begins with what you decide to do in the silence, in the struggle, in the unseen places where only faith knows your name. It begins when you say yes to purpose, even when you don't see the full path ahead. It begins when you decide that fear no longer has the final word over your future. You do not drift into greatness. You do not stumble into meaning. You walk into it deliberately, sometimes trembling, sometimes unsure, but always with resolve. The path is narrow and the cost is high, but the cost of staying the same is even higher. To live a life of truth requires courage because truth isn't always comfortable. To live a life of purpose demands sacrifice because purpose doesn't conform to convenience. And to live a life that matters requires bold choices because the current of the world will always try to pull you toward the easy, the shallow, the safe, but you were not made for shallow waters. You were not formed for small dreams. Inside of you is the capacity to shake generations, to carry light into the darkest corners, to be a force of hope in a world addicted to despair. And all of that begins not with luck, not with chance, but with the decisions you make each day. The decision to forgive when bitterness would be easier. The decision to speak truth when silence would be safer. The decision to take one step forward when everything in you wants to give up. These are the sacred choices. These are the turning points no one sees, but heaven celebrates. There is power in your will. There is authority in your choice. You are not a victim of your surroundings. You are a vessel of purpose walking through them. And though storms may rise and obstacles may come, the decision to keep walking is what builds the strength that carries you. When others retreat, you press on. When others compromise, you remain anchored. When others chase comfort, you pursue calling. This is the path of boldness. This is the road of the faithful. It is not easy, but it is the only road that leads to a life of depth and impact. The world is filled with distractions designed to keep you passive. But nothing changes while you're waiting for the world to give you permission. Life is not about waiting for the wind to shift. It is about setting your sail. It's about rising early when you'd rather sleep. It's about giving when no one notices. It's about standing when you feel like falling. Each of these decisions seems small, but they are eternal in value. They echo into your future. They form the kind of character that cannot be shaken when the world around you is falling apart. Do not underestimate the power of one bold choice. One moment of courage can open a door that changes everything. One decision to turn your back on the lies of the past can unlock a future that's been waiting for you all along. One act of faith can ripple into places you never imagined. You may not control every outcome, but you do control your obedience. And obedience, pure, determined, unshakable, is what carries you into your destiny. You don't need a map when you walk by faith. You don't need the crowd when you walk in purpose. And you don't need perfect conditions to make the next right decision. The world often teaches that success is about talent, timing, or opportunity. But heaven sees success as faithfulness, not how much you did, but how faithful you were with what you were given. Not how many people noticed, but how many times you chose truth when no one was watching. You may never be applauded for these decisions. You may never be praised, but you will be transformed, because transformation doesn't come through applause. It comes through alignment with who you were created to be. And alignment is the result of choices made not once, but daily. Every great movement begins with a decision. Every revival begins with a choice. Every destiny begins with a step. You don't need to have all the answers to begin. You only need to begin. And when you do, something shifts not just around you, but within you. Bold, faithful choices set a fire in your soul that cannot be quenched by the opinions of others or the weight of opposition. They awaken something eternal, something unstoppable, something that was always waiting for your yes. And now, as you stand at the edge of the life you've known and the life you were created to live, let this truth burn within you. You were made for this moment. You were not meant to simply exist, but to rise. Not to blend in, but to stand out. Not to repeat the past, but to break through it. So walk boldly with fire in your spirit and purpose in your steps. Let every scar remind you that you survived. Every setback teach you that you're stronger. And every choice you make become a declaration of who you truly are becoming. You are the light in a dark world. You are the voice in the silence. You are the answer someone has been waiting for. Don't wait for life to change. Be the one who changes it. Because the greatest miracle is not what happens around you, it's what begins inside of you. And it begins right now.